Okay, so again, it's been a decent amount of time. I'm going to go back real quick and then we'll pick up where we left off with the notes. So again, demand, very, very basically, desire and ability. We talked about the law of demand in the sense that as prices go up, demand tends to go down. As prices go down, demand tends to go up. So it's just a common sense thing. There are things that affect our demand. Substitution effect, income effect, and then law of diminishing marginal benefit, and that was the as time goes by, we tend to not want things as much, and we want to get the new version, right? Or the old thing is just not as nice, and I want to upgrade, or I like something, and then as time goes by, not so much. That was the whole Big Mac joke story with my buddy that kind of fits that really well. In regards to graphing, only accurate for a specific set of conditions, and I cannot predict changing market conditions. I can tell you what I think might happen based off of trends, but I can't predict it. Our curve, we did this, we talked about the beverages and the downward sloping curve. We got through most of these. I think we only have two left. So the income aspect, we talked about the automobile, and the fact that if I give you a pay raise, of course, that same automobile is a little bit more desirable. So there's a shift in demand. If I'm looking at consumer expectations, we're talking about sales or just the quality of the item. You can see that shift in the curve as well. Population was pretty basic, like literally just the numbers. So the more people are around, so again, Chippewa Lake way smaller than Medina, so we have that shift to the right because of population. Demographics, we had talked about this one, the groups of people and how they respond differently to different items. Sorry, there we go. And I used the cell phone versus the BlackBerry, right, which is the same thing. And I had to laugh because that was a week and a half ago. We talked about that. And over the weekend, my dad, we were sitting at Thanksgiving dinner, and my dad starts talking about his BlackBerry. My dad's in the 70s. He's like, I just love my BlackBerry. So better for business wise. It's really, really nice because it has this, and this. Right? I was like, oh, Dad, you are so fitting the stereotype of an older person with their BlackBerry. Right? So our demand shifted to the left. Consumer taste in advertising. The example I had used for this one was the movie in the theaters, right? So I like, or this is like a generic, yeah, I'm not really interested. But if there's a brand new movie, so like for me, I keep on thinking of all the Marvel stuff. I'm kind of excited about all this. Yeah, this is my generic version. Yeah. But again, our demand can shift depending on how much we want something. Same thing with meals. Same thing with cars. Sometimes it's absurd. Like, I don't even know why I'm spending the money on this, but I am because I really, really, really like it. Now this is a new one. So this is our related goods. We're going to talk about complementary goods and substitute goods. And the complementary goods, these are things that go along with items. So they can affect our demand because we tend to buy things in pairs. So if I buy myself a cell phone, what do we tend to buy with cell phones? Charger, the case, and I had to laugh because Apple no longer provides us those chargers. Right? They put the earbuds in? No, I didn't think so. I was told by someone that part of it's just the size of the box. So it fits everything else, but no more chargers. So if you want to buy a charger, you got to buy a charger.
That's so dumb.
Yeah.
When I got the XR a couple months ago, and it came with like the cord, but it had like the USB Type C.
Yeah.
So like I couldn't use any charger like I had with it.
That's the newest thing. C is supposed to be I think it's a 20 amp
Yeah, it's because it
charges it faster. But yeah, but thanks for letting me know. Because now I got to go back and get that power block.
Yeah, like I couldn't charge my phone for.
Well, if you think about it, they're geniuses, right? They're so smart. That's the same thing when I bought my iPad. I brought it home and I was like, oh, you got to be doing the exact same thing. So we tend to buy things that go along. Like I think when I talk about my truck, it wasn't the truck, it was the gas prices that was going to be the thing that affected my demand. So I think about little things like peanut butter and jelly, right? Anybody have other combinations they put with their peanut butter and jelly sandwiches?
peanut butter banana.
I've heard peanut butter banana.
It sounds gross, but my
Well, the other
stepmom
one
does mayo with it. Peanut butter banana and
That's the other one. Peanut butter and pickles. Anybody else here had peanut butter and pickles? I tried it once. Not bad. Not
It's
bad.
the Elvis sandwich.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah.
Have you ever had butter and jelly on toast?
Butter. I could do that. I could deal with that. That's pretty good. Yeah.
Peanut butter.
Peanut butter and Nutella? Oh.
Something that you hate toast.
That's not. I can deal with that. Corn on the cob. What goes with corn on the cob? Butter, salt. Yeah. The other thing too, you'll see from time to time is when you go shopping for stuff, they'll put stuff next to it. So like the infamous one is s'mores.
Oh yeah.
If you go in, you see the graham crackers. I can guarantee there's some Hershey bars and some marshmallows real close.
Well, I bought like a recipe last night. Like I bought something and I had to buy like 7 other things with it just to make it.
Now substitute goods, these are the things we just replace things with. So I'm going to give you guys a couple examples, but there are thousands upon thousands of other things you can replace it with. Right? So if I gave you a burger, what will be a couple of different choices that you guys have to replace the burger? Turkey burger,
We have
what's that?
avocado buns.
veggie burger, avocado burgers. You could do lunch meat. Honestly, you could, like if I was at a cookout with friends, then probably there's going to be some grilled chicken. I always kind of fall back on the original hot dogs, hamburgers, hot dogs. Monster, rock stars, the traditional. Or you can do, Red Bull, Jolt. Has anybody ever had Jolt? Or Bang? Yeah. Amp.
Dylan is
There's all sorts of ones. How about, what would be a direct replacement for Reese's Pieces? Oh, so you were close. Peanut butter M&Ms. Yeah. Or anything else that you want to replace it.
Peanut butter M&Ms are bigger.
Right. But the peanut butter in the Reese's
Peanut butter
Pieces.
M&Ms are better.
Better.
I don't know actually. I think Reese's are better.
All right,
I
so
don't know what I'm saying.
this is gonna be a very, very generic wrap. So
Tortilla chips.
tortilla chips, kind of like a quesadilla.
That's what my dad says. That's how he orders it too.
I work at
You know where it
Taco
came
Bell
from?
and I've heard it so many times. It's
Quesadilla?
Yeah.
No.
Napoleon Dynamite. You ever seen the movie?
With my dad.
Yeah, that's probably where he got it. Warm up a quesadilla.
Well, my stepmom makes me, so he says it just to mess with her. Sometimes.
So for this, it's a generic curve. There's no rhyme or reason other than downward sloping. But if this is my normal demand for tortilla chips, and we're talking about substitute goods, or I'm sorry, complementary goods, if there's a sale on salsa, my demand may shift to the right. Like I wasn't going to buy chips, but there's a sale. All right, I'll get a bag of chips now. And if the sale ends on salsa, well, then my demand goes back to where it was. So it's a lot of it's situational. And like you said, when you went and got all that to make that food, you're like, oh, I gotta get this, I gotta get this, I gotta get this. Sometimes you actually, as I'm sitting here talking about it, sometimes you pay for the convenience. So who in here has ever heard of HelloFresh?
Oh, I used to do that.
So I was doing it, and it was good, but it's the time involved in cooking. But the convenience, you're spending the money extra for all the ingredients to be right there. You don't have to go out and buy everything. It's just right there. You just open the bag and you start making it. It's pretty nice.
I just started going out too much and never have time, so I just can't go.
All right, now for this one, dealing with substitute goods. Right, so I just threw up there Monster Energy drinks at Costco's 24-pack there, the full-size cans. And if you're not an energy drink person, you can pretty much think of anything else that's up there. This next scenario is going to work for that as well. If the price of all the other drinks has increased, well, then my demand may shift to the right for Monsters because those are the cheaper ones. I'll buy the Monsters. So you might even be a Rockstar fan, right? But there's a sale on Monster, or the price of Monster or Rockstar has gone too high, which is actually the opposite of what's happening right now.
No.
Yeah. I feel like we have like this connection with our energy drinks.
I feel like it's unhealthy, but
It's very unhealthy. Yeah. as long as I can keep it to 2 a day,
Yeah.
which is still probably too much. Actually, no, it's too much.
What do you drink?
I know. That was my first period class of it.
Wait, what do you drink?
Well, please don't have a heart attack.
What do you drink?
Randomly in a day. If I'm like struggling, sometimes I'm not sure. Has anybody ever noticed? Does anybody hear like the caffeine really doesn't affect me anymore?
Caffeine makes me tired. It's so weird.
Sometimes for me, it's the process of actually just lifting the drink out of my mouth and like drinking it. I don't know.
Kind of thinking I literally have to hold
Yeah.
my eyes open.
Right. Or let's say that Rockstar is going on sale, so now my demand is going to shift back to little because I'll just go buy Rockstar. And again, you can do this at the grocery store for pretty much anything, or if you're going to go buy an item at the store. My mom, oh my gosh, if you guys ever shopped? Who here has a parent that is like a massive shopper? Like they will go from store to store to store to store to store to find the best deal. That's my mom. When we were younger, she would go. Not so much anymore, but oh my gosh, crazy.
I know. My mom literally will buy something one weekend and the next week she goes returns it, buys a new thing, next weekend returns that thing, goes buy. I'm like, Mom, try to close on episode.
So we're gonna shift into another concept, and this will be the last concept we talk about today.
I don't know. She pisses me off too.
When we were doing some of those graphs, I was catching it because I've done this for so many years. But there was a couple scenarios we were running into inelastic demands, right? And basically, elasticity is how do we respond to a small change in price, or for that just a change in price. So if gas price is actually probably the best one for you guys to think about in this situation. So did I see the gas price and immediately go, I'm gonna fill up right now? Or was the gas price just a little too high and you're like, I'll wait till tomorrow and see if the prices come down? So it's how do we respond? Who in here has seen the gas prices go up and you kind of just go like the pit in your stomach, you're just like, oh my gosh, it's painful, right? Versus the other side of it where you're like, okay, yes, it's good. Prices have gone down. Like who saw it? I think it was 309 the other day. So here's the thing that just gets my goat when I think about this. The gas companies,
That's a cool expression.
I know.
I have two notes.
Two.
When it was $1.85, do you guys remember that?
Yeah, it was a good time.
So nice, right? And then prices drove up or went up to like $2, and we were like, okay, it's not bad. So they brought it back down to $1.92. Like, oh, good, $1.82. And then the prices went up to $2.20. And we were like, oh gosh. And they brought it back down to $2. Like, oh, good, it's $2. And then they jumped up to $2.50. We're like, oh, $2.50, what's going on? And they brought it back down to $2.25. Oh, good, $2.25. You guys see the trend of these gas companies? So it could go to $4 and they'll bring it down to $3.10. And we'll be like, oh, good, $3.10. So much better. Right? So for inelastic and elastic, there's two things that I typically keep in my brain to kind of help me understand them. For inelastic, I tend to think of gasoline, right? Because demand for that good will keep buying despite the price change. So even though I know we grumble about it, I know I feel this way sometimes filling up. Like, oh, this is like it was $30. Now all of a sudden it's almost $50 to fill up my tank, right? But what am I still doing? Still buying the gasoline because it's inelastic, regardless of the price. You still need it, right? For elastic, if we look at much less of a good after a small price increase. Think about any type of candy or chocolate, some sort of sweet snack.
Or it's like 2 for 3.
And if the price goes up just a bit, you're like, that's pretty good. Like I think I told you guys, one of my athletes was selling those Mally's bars for $1.50, and I was like, no, because he's from those primary schools. They were doing a fundraiser for I don't know what it was, and I was all about buying them. So she put the thing up, and she was like, selling these pretzel candy bars. Who wants one? And I put it was like a team chat app, yada. And I put my hand up, like, yeah, I want some. And she's like, I'm just selling it for $1.50 each. I was like, oh, forget it. No. How much do we spend here when we have those Mally's bars going around? It's $1. Right? It's $1.
I literally went to Mally's.
Well, there's the big ones. Buy the big one.
Don't.
All right. So when we talk about elastic and elastic, we look at things people have to have. So one of the examples, do you guys remember a couple years ago when I think it was insulin and a couple other items were like $1,000? They were like massively exponentially expensive, and $1,000 was probably pushing it, but it was in the hundreds and hundreds of dollars.
They
For
look
just
like
one
they want
dose.
it in, like, shows.
Yeah, it was really really bad. And then at the same time, Narcan was like free. So, can a diabetic get away without taking their medicine? No, they'll die. Right. So, it's kind of inelastic. Like I don't care that the price just through the roof. I have to buy this. Right. There was issues when the price skyrocketed. Sadly, of parents who were trying to take care of the kids who were giving themselves half doses to get by, and they were on the poorer side. And they were struggling to get, and they were they were having medical issues and had to go to the hospital because it's inelastic. You can't do half doses of those things. You have, I need them. Versus the other side of this, who in here has subscriptions to magazines still that come to the house? Right? Yeah, I don't need them anymore. I'm just gonna go on. Like my brother-in-law used to get the plain dealer all the time. Now he does the online version, and even that he does the regular. What's that?
American Girl don't like. When I was little, I remember that. Yeah, I gave American Girl insulin.
The one that I typically look at the most, that makes it easiest to understand whether it's elastic or inelastic, is do I need it or do I want it? Right? So if we look at candy, it's a luxury item. I don't typically have to have it. Now, the only exception to that rule would be if I'm a diabetic and I need the sugar, right? Doesn't have to be a candy bar unless that's the only thing around, because you got to get that sugar back up. I had a friend of mine that had an episode when I was working with him, and we just had to get him orange juice, just something, some sugar in his system, and then he had to go home after that. But on a level, I have a girl I coach right now actually who has one of those pumps on her, or the monitors that she actually just wears the whole time she's at practice, and she has it attached to her phone. So like we'll actually get like every once in a while it'll beep, but it's loud enough that the whole gym kind of hears it. And then if it's low, she has to go grab herself fruit snacks or something just to kind of get the sugar back up. And then if it's too high, her mom or her grandpa, whoever's there with her, will come in and they actually have to take her into the private area and give her a shot to bring it down. And then she's got to wait. Right? But again, that would be necessity. Right? Availability of substitutes. If you think about gasoline, there's more now than there used to be. But gasoline is gasoline. Like, can you replace gasoline with something else?
Yes.
I mean, technically,
How long will your
you
car
could
last?
get an electric car.
Well, I'm talking about the gasoline itself, though.
Yeah.
What would you replace it with?
Water.
And then what will happen to your vehicle?
No, just fine.
Diesel you can get away with, I think, in doing the biodiesel.
You can do like peanut oil, like the old one.
Yeah. So elastic. Think about candy, though. Think about how many choices we have. Has anyone ever been to VA Sweeties?
Oh, I love that
This is
place.
awesome.
Or what's it, Sweets and Geeks? I still haven't gone, but I drove past it the other day.
I just
Everyone
I
has told me about it, but I didn't know where
love
it was. And I finally passed it. I was like, oh.
They have cool
So,
stuff.
Ironically, ironically, it was after I left the dentist. I was driving back to the school after getting my cavities noticed.
And it was for cavities.
And then, how big of impact is that on my budget, right? So is it a small, like think about the candy bars, and it's 50 cents. Does it really impact me? Not much. Versus a vehicle or a house or a boat. Right? Those are typically inelastic goods. So let me show you guys. Who in here has not been to VA Sweeties? Okay. Let's see if my link still works.